Yes, guys, what is happening? And welcome to the stream and welcome back to the channel. And yesterday, Chelsea took on Leeds. The rivalry was renewed, throwback from the 70s, scrap outside Fulham Broadway before the game, a bit of a scrap after the game on the pitch. But I mean, ultimately, we got the 3 points, but we were dead lucky in this game. A stoppage time penalty, which Jorginho converted, gets us to 3 points and arguably could even keep us in the title race. But this was a poor performance, wasn't it? And very much cracks being papered over with that last-minute penalty.
Poor performance. 2 goals at home against Leeds.
Leeds are shit as well.
An out-of-form, injury-ridden Leeds side at Stamford Bridge. And we're chucking away a lead, conceding 2 goals. Man. I don't know. Positives, great atmosphere. Positives, kind of seemingly a big win. Stoppage time wins can have a way of kickstarting a form. Certainly a good atmosphere at the end of the game amongst the crowd. The players were enjoying it, feeding off it. So perhaps that's going to be something. But in terms of what we spoke about before the game, I didn't see any of it. I was deeply nervous throughout the entire thing. Erratic performance from Rudiger, individual mistake from Alonso, really not creating a huge amount in terms of attacking options and goal scoring chances. I felt this was a continuation of our poor form and that we were very lucky to get the win. Stupid foul on Rudiger, both times for the penalties, like mad fouls, like just so stupid from them to essentially gift us the game. We didn't really go and win that. It was credit to Jorginho, no doubt. 2 pens, both killer. He's icy. I'm a huge fan, but that was alarming. That was a continuation.
It was almost a West Ham in reverse, basically. That we were gifted 2 goals. I know you still got to score the penalties, but we were gifted 2 unbelievable goal scoring opportunities. But outside of the penalties and outside of the goals themselves, we created hardly anything again. And it's mad, all these attacking players we've got, and yet there seems to be literally no creativity in this side at all. I just can't work it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, are we seeing how important Kante is to the balance of this side?
I'd say it's slightly unbalanced in the midfield with Ruben and Jorginho, but he should be able to beat Leeds with Ruben and Jorginho in midfield. I
know, but we're more talking about Chelsea here. We're more talking about the balance of our side, and essentially our mojo is just gone. And we're very quickly losing the aura, which gets you, halfway through beating most sides. City pull up and everyone's freaked because they feel as though they're about to get schooled. Liverpool pull up and they're terrified because you're about to get burnt and concede 4. Chelsea pull up and you're like, at the beginning of the season, we're not going to score. They've just signed Lukaku. They've got a whip squad. They've got the biggest depth in their squad. We don't stand a chance. That's going. That's evaporating. Leeds are coming to Stamford Bridge being like, we could do these guys over. And it's like...
I mean, do you think the fact that we've let in 8 goals in the last 3 games, that's 3 against West Ham, 3 against Zenit, and obviously 2 against Leeds, do you think it's any coincidence that Kante has missed all those games and perhaps that solidity in midfield ahead of the back 3 is missing and teams are getting a lot more opportunities and it's easier to get out of the defence now because Kante's not there? Or is it a little bit more than just him missing?
I think just him missing is kind of a bit of like
it's a bit of a cop-out.
Well, it's not necessarily a cop-out. It's just that Kante missing isn't just Kante missing. No. Kante missing is the balance of the side being, because the guy's first name on the team sheet when he's fit. So and he's integral. So when he's missing, pressure is applied in different areas of the field. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is not able to defend the way Kante can. No one is, but
no one does. Yeah,
in particular, a guy like Ruben. So you when you lose Kante, you don't just lose a defensive-minded midfielder. You lose in many ways, the kind of a huge amount, the defensive heart of our midfield and the start of our defensive line. So Yeah, there's a rhythm that Kante brings to this team, and I think it's been lacking. I don't know if you can say that when he comes back, it's problem solved. And even if it was, we've still got some problems because he's had big injury problems, and I don't see those ending. So I'm sure the guys are working on it. I'm sure Tuchel feels as though he's got an idea of what it is that's going wrong. Apart from the lack of Kante, I can't really consider what it might be apart from a confidence thing.
Well, I think also Chilwell missing is a big blow. Like with the system we play, the wing backs are so important for the attackers because remember, we're playing one less attacking player to accommodate an extra defender. And those wing backs need to act as basically two extra attackers. And and as good as Alonso's been under Antonio Conte and in patches right at the start of the season, the guy is not good enough. I'm sorry, he's so poor. He's so error prone as well. And we saw with the penalty that he gave, which we will come on to later. I mean, for me, this wing-back position needs to be addressed in January because we cannot go for the rest of the season playing Alonso there and maybe Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi filling in because we will not win the Premier League with that.
Also, Alonso, in terms of fitness, and I don't mean in terms of health of like injuries, I mean in terms of his athletic fitness, cardiovascular, he's not up there. You know, he's not at the level that Chilwell's at, and he's not at the level of the majority of the rest of the team. You know, well, in terms of the position that he's in, he needs to cover a lot of ground in that position. You don't see him running back as hard, and when he makes these runs forward, he's got an amazing left foot. Everyone knows, but he doesn't surge, and hasn't got the acceleration on those overlap runs. So he's lacking in my view, and this Chilwell injury, like you say, is a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, is it now, I mean, I think it's essential that we address this in January. I mean, would you feel confident just continuing the season as we are? I think it's highly unlikely that Chilwell plays any part for the remainder of the season. So are you happy to go with just Alonso and we're filling in with maybe Aspie and like Hudson-Odoi? We can't. We have to buy someone. Do you feel the same?
100%. I just don't know who.
I mean, I'd be keen for Luca Dean from Everton. He's obviously fallen out a little bit with Rafa Benitez. Benitez has said that he needs to be a team player. I think there's a possibility he could be available. He's been outstanding for Everton. He was good at Barcelona as well. That would be an option. Perhaps someone like Rafa Guerreiro from Dortmund, who Thomas Tuchel does know, also good. But we cannot continue with Marcos Alonso for the rest of the season, purely on the fact that he's not good enough. And two, he can't play every game for the rest of the season. It's just not possible.
No, I know. We need cover. It's amazing how these injuries can just completely.
I mean, having said the squad is really good and it is fantastic, it's stocked in other areas. Like, for example, the top end of the pitch. You know, the likes of Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Mount, Ziyech, Verna, Lukaku, Havertz. That's stocked. A couple of injuries there. Not ideal. Not a disaster. Midfield, the depth is good. Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho, Ruben. Players can fill in as well. But what you don't account for is having 3 injuries in exactly the same area. You don't go 5 or 6 players deep in a position for depth. And then you've got other areas that are completely understocked. And we're seeing it now. The wing-back positions, there is no depth at all there. You've got Alonso and James, fine. If they don't play, who's filling in? I mean, Aspie has been fantastic. I'm sorry, he hasn't got the legs anymore to get out of the pitch at right wing back. And you know, we're understocked there. So I think we do need going forward a position we need to fill fullback on both sides of the pitch for me. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the game itself, we did the lineup on Friday. Not too far out. I mean, Aspie starting. Are you surprised to see Aspie starting over Christensen?
Yeah, I was. I thought that was a little bit strange. I feel as though Aspie is a more defensively minded and ergo slightly outdated wingback in today's Premier League. And similar with Alonso, you know, he's much older. He's much older than Christensen. Also, his legs. You know, his fitness isn't at the level of the rest of the team, which is fine because he's fantastic positionally. But in terms of what he's got to offer, I think Aspie is not an ideal starter for me.
No, I would agree. But then obviously the rest of the team pretty much spot on. I think the only one we got wrong was Mason Mount starting. We had Ziyech down to start instead. But Mount wasn't poor yesterday by any means. But I have to say, we didn't start the game that well. And what is Marcus? I know we've just been a bit critical of him there, but what is he doing for that penalty? Dan James is going no, mate. He just rashly dives in. I mean, can you any idea what he's thinking there whatsoever? Just show him down the line.
Yeah, I mean, Alonso is not known for his defensive capabilities. Positionally, I often find him out of position. He's prone to those kind of rash errors. Not that he makes them the entire time, but he comes close on quite a regular basis, and it's not something which surprised me a huge amount. It was unfortunate and frustrating for sure, because it's another individual error at the back. There's a penalty, giving away a penalty. Stay on your feet, dude.
Yeah, don't do. Yeah, it just goes to show that Alonso is not good enough. And as we've just touched on, we need to address that position. Penalty goes in. Rafinha slots it. One thing I love Edward Mendy, and he's outstanding. I think he's one of the best goalkeeper in the world currently. But if there's one criticism, he is abysmal at saving penalties. He is dreadful. Yeah, well, he saved that Aguero Panenka because he just stood there and it went straight at him when we faced City away. But I mean, I thought this penalty yesterday from Rafinha, it wasn't even in the corner.
He was going the right way.
Mendy was going the right way, and he just stopped his. He stopped his dive. I think that was more than savable. But yeah, that'd be one criticism of Mendy. I feel that his penalty saving is dreadful. I'm sorry. It's poor, and that will be something that I'm sure they're working on.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, all right, we're going 1-0 down. I mean, how important was it that we got that equaliser just before half time? Because I have to feel that if we've gone in 1 down, I'm not sure we win that game.
Yeah, no, I think it was super important. I think it was really, really important. It's Mount again. He's just typifies exactly what you want in one of your young players. Like he's in any of your players. He's just got that attitude, that continual fight. He's a massive fan of the club. He's one of our own. All the rest of it, but he puts it in. He puts in the hard yards.
I think it's mentality. There's reasons why him and Jorginho they come up clutch all the time, because they're mentality monsters. They know what it means. They've been there and done it. And I think ultimately, I think there's certain players in that squad that don't have the right mentality. And it's not just one manager that's questioned it. Conte questioned mentality. Lampard did. Sarri did. Tuchel has recently questioned mentality. I'm not saying he obviously hasn't said which players, but that I think there's a mentality issue within the squad. Not with everyone, but I think there's certain players have got mentality problems, and that's not helpful.
I think I agree. When everything's cushy, everything's cushy. But if we start on a difficult run of results, which we're very much on now, we narrowly avoided this becoming seriously bad yesterday, and I feel as though the problems are still right there. Still very much within us. But the moment things start getting like that, a bad run of results, you can see certain players' heads dropping, and you can also feel the kind of aura of Chelsea, like I mentioned earlier, slip away quite quickly when we go down to.
Yeah, you have noticed in recent years you've had fantastic squads, been doing so well. As soon as a couple of bad results set in, you see guys are down in tools, and the decline is so big. Mate, we were top of the league under Lampard at the start of December. I think we've had a couple of bad results. Mate, these guys' heads dropped, tools were down, and that was it. And the rut set in, and that's quite worrying. That after a poor run of results and performances, that these guys' heads can just drop and the performance levels can just go through the floor. And it's so important that doesn't happen. Mount is close to a Lampard is obviously unbelievable. And if Mason Mount can be anywhere near as good as Frank Lampard, even half as good, we're going to have an absolutely outstanding footballer on our hands. But yeah, Mount, arriving late in the box, scoring goals, if he can continue doing that on a more consistent basis, then 100% he can. Obviously, he's not going to emulate what Lampard did. I don't think anyone will, but he can certainly be important in that kind of mold. But yeah, another good point from Strip there. Thanks for tuning in. We knew the drop would come, so it's dealing with it that counts. Yeah, that is true. Ultimately, we did win yesterday. That's the most important thing. I mean, the performance was poor, but we got the 3 points. But I think it's also important to provide, a balanced reaction that actually the performance was poor. And if we continue to perform like that against better teams, we won't get away with it. So agreed that the win is the most important. I'm delighted we won, but contextually, we've got to improve. But yeah, I mean, having stated Alonso, he did do well for the goal. He wins the ball hard at the pitch, and it's a good cross for Mason Mount, who finishes at the near post. And he loves scoring against Leeds, and it was particularly satisfying to see him shushing their fans. Always good. But yeah, we go to the break.
Yesterday, it was intense. It was intense.
It was intense. It was filthy. It was dirty Leeds, mate. I mean, I'm glad I would love to have gone to the game, but yeah,
I had a couple of there. I had a couple of
mate, scrap outside Fulham Broadway, always class. It's not what you want with those.
I saw a mad scrap at Juventus. I saw this insane break out on.
It's like a bit. It's a 70s throwback having a scrap outside the tube. It's a bit embarrassing.
It's not a vibe. It's not a vibe.
No, it's not.
We don't condone that on the Blues Brothers podcast. We don't condone that kind of behavior.
No, we don't condone that sort of behaviour. But it's a little bit funny.
Back and forth with the fans.
Yeah,
that's vibes.
But yeah, I mean, obviously we go into the break at 1-1. Really crucial, I feel that, because we're back in the game and we get a penalty. Rudiger, who will come on, obviously we'll discuss more in the player ratings. I didn't think he was great defensively, but he finds himself in the box so often. For someone that's playing in a back three, he's always in the opposition box. And he wins the penalty. It is a foul. It's stupid from the Leeds defender.
It was mad. It was a penalty.
It's just so stupid. Upset Jorginho, and I have to say, when he came in under Sarri, I wasn't a huge fan. I just thought he's come in because Sarri loves him. Like the last couple of seasons, we are seeing how important and how good a footballer Jorginho is. He doesn't always get the credit he deserves, but he's one of those players that when he's playing, you don't really notice him. But as soon as he's not in that team, you notice what he does. And he's so important for controlling the tempo of the game. And the guy is ice cold. I mean, obviously the pen there was fantastically converted. And obviously we'll come on to the one in stoppage time. But again, just showing his importance to the team. But yeah, 2-1, you're thinking, just hang on. But I mean, ultimately, that didn't quite happen. I mean, 7 minutes from the end, I can't pronounce the guy's name, but he's the first teenager to score for Leeds in the Premier League since James Milner. And defending again, I think, is poor. Mate, what are you thinking? 7 minutes to go, and it's gone to 2-2, and you're just thinking, oh, what is going on here? We fucked it.
I'm thinking turn it off.
Just get the game off. I mean, football. Football Twitter. I'm thinking,
watch these players ruin my weekend again.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, watch these be in a dreadful mood.
It's so football Twitter especially is so reactionary. But I mean, I have to say, I was thinking the same. We drop points in this game, and you're thinking, title's going to be really difficult.
Yeah. There's a lot. I'm on some WhatsApp groups and stuff, messages flying around.
Fucked it, yeah. Mate, everyone does it. It's so hard to be balanced in the moment.
Well, I know, and we've all been watching Chelsea for how many years? We've all been watching football for how many years? Sport, all the rest of it. You know that things can change. I mean, it's on a knife edge. It really is. And the thing that's setting that knife edge is the tempo of City and Liverpool. Yeah. And they will drop off.
Mate, they are relentless at the moment. That's why it's so important that regardless of the performances, we just get the results, because there will be a drop-off for them.
Exactly. There will be a drop-off for Liverpool, whether it comes in the African Cup of Nations or if it comes at another...
It's bound to come in the Nations Cup. No Salah, no Mane. They obviously won't be... Keita's of the Nations Cup as well, but he's always injured.
Yeah. Origi's Belgian, isn't he?
Yeah. But there will be a drop-off, so it's so important that we stay in touch, even though we're playing poorly, and just grind those results out. But I mean, 100%. At 2-2, you're thinking, oh, this is a disaster. really is a bad performance. Can't be dropping points at home to Leeds. But then Rudiger finds himself in the box again, 94th minute. And I mean, we talked about what is Alonso doing for the penalty. What are these guys doing? You know, you're away from home, you're struggling near the bottom of the table, you're going to get yourself a point, and then the idiot goes and does that. I mean, it's inexplicable.
You'd be absolutely fuming if you were a Leeds fan.
Yeah,
you know, and I think they were. You know, we had serious back and forth going on between the Chelsea fans and the Leeds fans. Their equalisers, our goals, etc. Can you imagine the heartbreak in stoppage time, giving away stupid things like that?
It's criminal.
And those are the kind of moments which make great seasons. You know, you talk Liverpool's late goal last weekend. A moment like that, a late penalty for us to get 2 extra points. You know, that's huge.
I mean, we could look if we end up winning the league. You could look back at that moment and say that was one of the games that could get us over the line. If you drop 2 points there, so they all count, and it's massive. And Jorginho steps up again, ice running through his veins in front of the Leeds fans, slots that pen, and mate, we get out of jail big time. But I mean, I was preparing for a weekend to be absolutely ruined again. It would have been 2 on the spin with the West Ham performance last weekend. It would have been dreadful, and I don't think we could have allowed ourselves to slip, because ultimately, if we dropped points, then we would have fallen 2 behind Liverpool and 4 behind City. You know, that's starting to become a problem.
Totally, and you take it back you know, let's say we were 4 behind City. There's no point getting into that because we got the win yesterday, which is great.
Yeah.
That versus where we should have been pre to this crap run, like 6 ahead.
Yeah.
I
mean, funny yesterday that Chelsea, Liverpool, and City all needed penalties to win yesterday. So you know, the City and Liverpool weren't great yesterday, but they still won. We weren't great yesterday, and we still won. And ultimately, that's what matters. But yeah, I mean, we're going to move into the player ratings now, so I'm just going to share my screen, and then we'll get right into it. Let's have a look. Let's get that tab up. Right, going to start things off. Edouard Mendy. We've already talked about him a little bit. I thought he was decent, but nothing amazing. His distribution was much better yesterday. He made some good saves. Obviously, the penalty wasn't great. We've already touched on how poor he is at saving penalties. I think above average for Mendy. I mean, I'd go with a 6.5. What did you make of him yesterday?
Yeah. 6.5 or 7. I thought he did well. I thought he did really well. Obviously, we spoke about the penalty. Poor, something he'll be working on, no doubt.
Yeah.
Distribution good. Nothing you could do about the second goal.
And the penalty is a penalty, isn't it? So there's nothing you can't really blame him on that.
Exactly. So yeah, 6.5.
6.5 fair. Moving on to Aspie. I mean, I don't like being critical of Aspie because he's been an unbelievable servant to the club. But having said that, he was really poor against Zenit. He wasn't as poor today, but he was pretty close to being that bad again. I thought he was really average, and obviously got subbed off for Christensen for the last 15 minutes. What did you make of him? I thought he struggled badly again.
Yeah, I'd probably give him a 5 at best, to be honest. I didn't think he was good. He doesn't inspire the confidence that he used to in me. I feel as though we're in a sort of post-Azpilicueta Chelsea defensive line now. Yes. And there was a time where that, you know, I got a little bit sentimental and emotional about that, but I no longer am. It's just where the team's going. It's a natural progression. I salute Aspie at every single chance that I get, but yesterday, 5 at best.
I think he was just average again. I mean, just briefly on the defensive situation, I mean, do you feel that this could just be a coincidence or there could be something to it, but the run of kind of results and performances being poor started with Watford, and that was when Tuchel announced that Christensen wasn't playing because of his contract situation. Now, in the preceding games, we have let in so many goals. Do you feel that the unrest over Christensen's future is perhaps spreading to the other players? Or do you just think that's a bit of a coincidence? Because Rudiger's exactly the same. He's not playing and he's not signed a deal and it's not really been a problem. I mean, do you think that's just a coincidence or there could be something there? Because I never like seeing club politics getting involved on the pitch.
I don't think club politics are getting involved on the pitch purely because I don't think Christensen within that defensive, within the group, within the squad, but particularly within that defensive unit. If I was going to have a sort of hierarchy of presence in the dressing room out of those, Christensen would probably be close to the bottom. He's a dude and everyone likes him, but he doesn't command in the way Silva or Rudiger do. Even in the way, not in the way that Aspi does, even in the way that Reece James does. I know he's younger, but Reece James is just one of the guys.
So you don't think there's any credence to that thought that perhaps it's unsettling players, the uncertainty over certain players' future? I think that's just a bit of a coincidence.
I think it's a coincidence. I also think these guys are pros. I also think everyone knows the project at Chelsea. I think we're going to
of course.
I think we're going to get a deal with Rudiger. I think we'll probably get a deal with Christensen.
I think we'll get a deal with Christensen. I don't think we'll get a deal with Rudiger. I think that's.
You don't think we do?
No, absolutely not, mate.
I'm basing what I'm saying off all of the questions I've seen asked Tuchel about it.
Yeah, but I mean, Rudiger obviously wants to stay. I think he's happy to play at Chelsea. He's never once said that he doesn't want to be at the club. But the fact that a deal has not been signed and it's January in 3 weeks' time, and he can sign a pre-contract agreement with another club. If he was going to stay, this would have been done by now. For me,
so?
100%. I do think Rudiger's done. I think he's gone. I'm very happy to be wrong if he ends up staying. It'd be fantastic. But I don't understand why we're not just giving the guy what he wants. I think he's asking for 200k a week. Like, that's for his level of performance.
That's reasonable. It's reasonable.
It's reasonable considering what other guys are paid. Like, I just don't get it. But I think he's gone. There's obviously, it can't just be the money. Maybe it's length of contract as well. Maybe he does want a different challenge. I'm not sure, but we need to be keeping him. But again, moving on to Thiago Silva, great to have him back in. By his recent high standards, not one of his best games, but I mean, he was solid defensively, caught out a couple of times, but I think he was kind of left a bit exposed. But yeah, I mean, solid. I'll probably give Silva a 6.5. What did you make of him?
Yeah, 6.5 seems fair. 6.5 or 6. I felt as though we saw a continuation of the slightly less impervious, slightly less relaxed, slightly less composed and dominant Silva than we've come used to since his signing. You are going to get it. It's fine. I'm not bothered by it. But the reality is he wasn't at his usual levels, and he hasn't been for the past 3 games.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go with a 6 then. I think a 6. I think he was above average, and he was definitely better than Azpilicueta. So we'll go with a 6 there. Moving on to Rudiger. Obviously, we've discussed him. He should be staying. I thought going forward, he was good going forward. He wins us the 2 penalties, which ultimately wins us the game, and it's great to see him making those runs forward. But at the other end of the pitch, where he's actually meant to be defensively, I didn't think he was that great yesterday at all.
He got caught out for the second goal.
Yeah,
which was bad, and also he's so erratic. Also, 20 quid says he stays. Deal?
Yeah, okay, mate. We can have 20 quid that you. Okay, mate, that's fine. You can transfer me 20 quid when he doesn't stay.
And vice versa, mate.
Yeah, mate. When he signs to Real Madrid and it's announced in January and it's on a pre-contract, I'll receive my 20 quid. But yeah, yesterday he wasn't great, was he? Let's be honest. Defensively, a little bit suspect. Erratic is probably what I'd use. It's kind of in his personality.
Yeah, dude, he was erratic. It was a mad game, and in a way, these games suit Rudiger. He's right in there when the argy-bargy's going around.
Yeah, and there's a great clip on socials of like he's right at the other end of the pitch, and you see the scuffle kicking off at full time, and he's sprinting full pelt down to get involved in the scrap. But I think ultimately,
it's Drogba vibes.
Yeah, I mean, but ultimately, I think Rudiger. I think for the fact, I mean, I would probably give him a 6.5, but the fact he won us the 2 penalties, which ultimately won us the game, I think a 7 is fair. So Rudiger for a 7, that rounds out the 3 centre backs. Reece James, great to see him back in his usual right wing back position after that experiment in midfield against Zenit. Again, I think a bit of a quiet game from Reece. Nothing bad, good, solid defensively. But again, offered a bit going forward, but one of his quieter days, I'd say. Similar to his performance against West Ham.
Yeah, I'd probably say 6 or 5.5. Like
Yeah,
I it's difficult. It's difficult when you go on a run of form like he did for a few weeks. You
you always
expect
get compared. You kind of expect it when actually
you
that's not
expect nothing.
normal. It's not normal for that to happen.
No, but you want it to become normal, and you know it can become normal for a guy like
Yeah,
this. Like he and Trent, in my view, are like on a level. Trent's
yeah,
obviously been doing it. Trent's been doing it for longer and is younger, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
But the form that Reece has been hitting is on a par, if not at times exceeding
yeah,
Trent,
yeah. I'd agree.
and he needs to be aiming for that. That's a great thing for those two. That's a
Yeah,
great thing, and good headache for Southgate. But if Reece James can keep pushing Trent and using Trent to push him, then I think we can get consistently special performances out of it. I was at Juventus. That was mad.
yeah. I mean, and ultimately, I think that
Oh,
Juventus game a month ago was probably the last time we actually put in a fantastic performance. Ironically, since then, I don't think we've really played that well at all.
no, we haven't.
Obviously, Reece James is 6. I think that's fair. He was definitely above average, but I don't think he did a lot to warrant any more than a 6. Marcus Alonso, he was poor. We've covered him earlier. Poor for the penalty, poor defensively.
1.5.
I think the guy gets, for me, mate, because he got an assist and set the goal up, I think a 3 or a 3.5. Other than that, mate, he was dreadful. He was useless.
Yeah. 3.
And 3.5, I think, is fair. Mate, he was poor. What did he do? What did he do apart from set the goal up?
No, I know. You're right.
Like, other than he gives away the penalty, which is rash, doesn't need to do it. It is really poor. I'm sorry, but 3.5. Well, we need to bring someone in January. We've already covered that anyway. But yeah, 3.5. Moving into midfield, we'll start with Ruben. I just wanted to bring up one thing because I've seen a lot of things on Twitter and on social saying that Ruben had a poor game, and I know stats stats are factual, and what looks like a bad performance, the stats can actually say, well, actually, Ruben did quite a lot. And I just want to bring these stats up for Ruben's game because I'm seeing him come in on for not a lot of love for his performance yesterday. I mean, he wasn't amazing, but he wasn't as bad as people are making out. So I'm just going to bring these stats up to show that Ruben was actually quite influential. I'm just going to have to stop sharing the lineup. I'll bring that back up in a sec. But yeah, Ruben's stats yesterday, just take a look at these because I don't like him seeing come in for criticism when actually the stats suggest he was quite important to the team. So Loftus-Cheek yesterday, most duels won, most ball recoveries, most tackles, most fouls won, most shots as well, and most take-ons. And yet I've seen people saying they had a poor game. Like for me,
is that most for the two sides or most for Chelsea? Do you know?
For Chelsea, so that would be for Chelsea. So in the team, I don't know if it's both sides, but for Chelsea, he was, and he put in a shift yesterday, and like the stats don't. One thing about stats, I know they can be misleading sometimes, but in situations like that, those aren't misleading. That's facts. And Ruben was good yesterday in that regard. I mean, admittedly, his passing in the final third wasn't great, but defensively, I think he did put a shift in.
That's what I think. Ruben needs to turn it on in the final third, get in better positions, better quality of pass in the final third, and more composure in front of goal.
I mean, what did you make of him yesterday? Do you think he was good?
I do think he was good. Yeah, I mean,
I think he was okay.
Still not the performance that you want to see from him, but you could say that about everyone in the side. So
yeah, I think above average. I honestly think Ruben about a 6.
Yeah, 6 is fine for Ruben.
6 is good for Ruben. Moving on to Jorginho. The guy has been playing through the pain barrier in the last few weeks, had a lot of physio on his back before the game to get him through it, and showing how important he is to this side at the moment with the absence of Kante and Kovacic. And he comes up clutch with the 2 ice-cool penalties that get us the win. Jorginho was fantastic yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's. I know he gets the armband when. Sort of like when subs of captains are made, but he is kind of like the guy holding our team together, I think, in a way at the moment throughout these injuries. The fact that he's playing through pain, the fact that he's still performing at a top level, galvanizing this side, doing what he does, controlling the game. I got massive respect. 7.5, 8.
Yeah, I was almost gonna go with an 8.5. I thought he was really good yesterday.
Yeah, go. Yeah, I got 2 pens as well. Never easy, and he just iced them both.
He iced them both, and he's playing through the pain barrier. And yeah, fantastic performance from him. We'll start with Timo Verna. Obviously, we both agreed he deserved to start, given his performance against Zenit in the week. This was back to the usual Verna. Useless. I'm sorry. That left-hand side, Alonso and Verna, terrible. I don't even know what to say. Timo just offered absolutely nothing. This should have been a good game for him. Leeds man Mark. He didn't beat his man once. Stuart Dallas just had him in his pocket all afternoon, and he didn't offer anything. And I'm sorry. Like, give players a season. Yes, 100%. Timo is doing nothing for this Chelsea team. Offers nothing. I don't know what to say. He was. I'm starting to think, is he a bit of a fraud?
Is he any good?
Honestly, no disrespect. The guy scored 24 or 25 league goals in a Bundesliga season for Leipzig. But I think he's being signed off being a one-season wonder. Mate, he sucked yesterday. He was terrible. He did, mate. He was awful. Like,
I just don't really know. Like, you get the ball and you expect him to lose it. It's not. Yeah. It's like seriously low-level performance that you see on a consistent basis from him. Like, you get,
mate, honestly, you see nothing.
He'll lose control of the ball.
But I think this affects the front three as well, because Werner's got no link-up play, and so that affects the performance of the other two as well. You see, Havertz yesterday had a bit of a poor game, and I guarantee if Callum or maybe Pulisic had played there, or Ziyech, the link-up would have been better, and Havertz probably would have had a better game. But Timo just nothing.
I want Lukaku just to start getting minutes and minutes and minutes, start getting starts, to start playing full games. And for us to almost be forced to start using him, for him to get a couple of goals under his belt and just like get this whole thing moving, get this Lukaku project moving. You know, he's the difference apparently. You know, we signed Lukaku and everyone's like, right, that's the league over.
Yeah, well, we just need to integrate him in. He's not fully fit at the moment, as he only came on for about 5 minutes yesterday. But yeah, I mean, Timo, there's just no sign of improvement at all.
Timo 4.
Oh, mate, honestly, mate, I don't think he was any better than Alonso.
Yeah, fair.
That left-hand side was terrible yesterday. It really was. Timo back with a 3.5, and I'm sorry, there's just, for me, I've said it so many times. He's showing no signs of improving whatsoever, and the fact that the guy's had, you know, didn't improve under Lampard, didn't improve under Tuchel, hasn't improved under Hansi Flick at Germany either. The guy's not got technically better at all as a footballer, and he's working with Tuchel and Hansi Flick at the moment. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Moving on to Kai Havertz. I've got to be honest, I thought average yesterday.
Yeah,
he held the ball up okay, did a few nice little bits, but not very influential, really, to be honest. Bit of an average day for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, when Havertz is kind of ticking, he kind of starts to roam a little bit.
Yeah,
and he starts to float a little bit around that front three. Comes and picks the ball up early, makes passes, and then just kind of drifts into these fantastic positions and makes it all look like a bit of a magic trick. When he's not on form, it's a bit clunky and it's a bit lackluster and it looks really bad. And that was yesterday for me. I thought he was actually poor.
I've got to say that I think he was below average. Not a good game from Kai at all. But I think it's also got something to do with the fact that Werner was playing with him as well. I know that sounds a bit harsh, but
I just don't know.
I do like Kai Havertz. Big fan of his, but again, it was not good from him yesterday, unfortunately. And I think a 4.5. I don't think he was better than average. No, I thought he was below average yesterday. So 4.5 for him. And just quickly to round out the player ratings, Mason Mount comes up trumps with a great goal, nice finish. I have to say though, apart from that, he wasn't that great. I know that sounds a bit harsh, but if we're being fair here, other than the goal, yes, he presses well and he gives 110%, and his mentality is spot on. But I've got to be honest, mate. I think about a 6.5 is fair for Mount. Didn't offer much else other than the goal.
Yeah, fair. I tend to agree. It's difficult because in many ways he's held to a different standard because of the work that he puts in as just a base. as a base level, you know you're going to get 110 from Mounty, and you know that he's going to give his everything out there.
Yeah.
So it feels harsh to mark him down, but I do tend to agree that apart from the goal, I didn't see a huge amount from him. But again, is that to do with Verna being on the pitch? Is that to do with basically this Verna, Havertz, and X? X is always going to struggle if those two aren't on form.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty fair on the ratings. For me, the subs didn't play long enough to warrant a rating. I'm a little bit surprised that Hakim Ziyech and Christian Pulisic were left as unused subs. I know we've got a big squad, so some players that deserve to play aren't going to play. Just one last thing, mate, before we wrap up. Are you surprised at how long Tuchel waits to make subs? That's probably my only criticism of Tuchel, is that if Tuchel makes a sub like around the hour mark, we're probably going to do all right. When he waits to like 75 minutes to make a sub yesterday, and the game's at 2-2, and you've got Lukaku, Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, Pulisic all on the bench. Why are we waiting so long to make a sub?
I am a fan of an early substitution.
But you've got to give these guys time. If you're going to make a sub, at least do it 60, 65 minutes.
Yeah. And Tuchel does it at half time. You know,
don't be giving guys 15 minutes to try and do something. It's not long enough.
But you know, I wouldn't say it's like a trademark of Tuchel's managerial style.
No.
That, you know, we've had managers before who I felt as though it had been. But
it has creeped in, mate, though. Burnley, the game was changing. We needed an earlier sub to stem it, and then by the time they equalised it was too late. Man United, we needed earlier subs, and this game we needed earlier subs, and they didn't happen. I'm not criticising him. It's just I don't quite understand why, what the reasoning is for waiting so long to make subs.
Yeah.
But I mean.
I'm not a fan of a late sub. I don't really.
I'm not a fan. I'm not really unless it's essential. I'm not really a fan of a sub after 70 minutes. Like unless the game's done and you're bringing someone off for a rest for the last 10. If you're trying to change, if you're chasing a game and you need to change a game, you need to be making a sub 60, 65 minutes minimum.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah. I mean that's just the player ratings. I think that's pretty fair. Obviously, as always, if you disagree, then let us know your thoughts in the comments or in the chat. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, mate, this was a really important win, back to winning ways. The games don't stop coming, though. We've got Everton on Stamford Bridge on Thursday. Thomas Tuchel's given the lads 2 days off, so Sunday and Monday off. Probably come in for a light session on Tuesday and Wednesday to prepare for Thursday's game against Everton. But we just need to keep the ball rolling, keep grinding these results out whilst we're not playing so well, and then I think that form will come back. But yeah, bro, thanks so much for joining me again. Always a pleasure. Guys, 3 subscribers now from 200 subscribers. So please do click that subscribe button. I'd love to see it by the end of today, 200 subscribers. So make sure you do that. Really helps the channel out. I really appreciate it. Please also make sure you smash a like on the video as well. And yeah, ultimately a great win, but very nervy, almost during the weekend. But yeah, guys, we'll be back tomorrow live on the channel to debrief the Champions League last 16 draw. So we'll catch you then. Cheers.